GTA 5 is an action-adventure sandbox game that is situated in an open-world environment. Released in 2013 by Rockstar Games, the player often has to commit violent crimes in order to complete certain quests. However, since it is a sandbox game, players can do whatever they want. I will be analyzing the game through the lens of violence and psychology. The first topic will be violence. Point 1 is, whilst a player can choose to be non-violent, violence tends to be more engaging for players. Considering GTA 5 is a sandbox open-world game, players have options to be non-violent, and there are little consequences for being so. However, studies show that more players angle towards being violent. The more socially accepted activities are less engaging to a player than the less socially accepted activities. This suggests that committing violence acts is more fun and rewarding, therefore is more engaging, and is reinforced by the wide variety of crimes that can be committed, including but not limited to stealing a car, robbing a bank, and arson. A reason why violent acts are more engaging is due to moral disengagement, which is where certain people are excluded from a player's regular moral circle. Thus, it does not matter if they are harmed. This can be applied to the context of the open world of GTA 5 that has a wide variety of NPCs. This process is accelerated by the increased frequency of exposure to violent acts and desensitizes players to violent acts, which in turn makes them more likely to commit violent crimes. Point 2 is, violence depicted in GTA 5 is closer to violence seen in real life. GTA 5 is set in the fictitious city of Los Santos, which is based heavily off Los Angeles, and much of the violence that occurs can be done in real life. In comparison to many other violent video games, GTA 5 depicts violence that occurs on a daily basis, particularly in America. There have been arguments made that even though violence is much more realistic in regard to the types of violence that occurs, there is little moral weight to them compared to the physical actions they represent, as it is simulated violence, not real violence. This is also despite the fact that violence is occurring during peacetime. Players can attack and kill innocent people rather than it being in a war setting. Notably, even the criminals themselves are more or less based on marginalized groups in America, so this further reinforces the idea that violence is much more real than other depictions of violence in other games. The second topic I'll be discussing is psychology. Point 1 is that players act, play, and think differently depending on the character they chose due to the Proteus effect. The Proteus effect is where avatars change how players behave based on appearance, usually conforming to the expected behaviors of the avatar. GTA 5 has 3 characters to select from, all coming from different racial backgrounds, which in many cases make players act differently depending on who they chose. There was a study showcasing the Proteus effect, where Caucasian, Middle Eastern, and African American gamers played as either the white character Michael or the black character Franklin. The Caucasian and Middle Eastern gamers had significant behavioral differences regardless of which character they chose. However, the African American gamers had different performances between the two characters. More crimes overall were committed with the white character than the black character compared to the other two groups. This is a clear example of the Proteus effect and how it changes how a person plays depending on both the character's avatar and also the player themselves. Point 2 is, GTA 5 uses positive reinforcement through quests to encourage violent behavior both in-game and outside of the game. Completing GTA 5 quests often gives benefits towards players, which usually involve completing violent crimes. Positive reinforcement in GTA 5 is utilized through the quest system, as quests are usually committing a crime and then the player gets rewarded for it. Players will see this as the driving force of progression and will repeat violent crimes to get the rewards and move forward with the story. This leads to increased violent behavior in general, as a study shows that rewarding violence, i.e. getting rewards for committing violent crimes, increases aggression in a game, as the constant reinforcement cycle teaches players that violence is a way of getting rewarded. Therefore, is a good solution to many problems. This can also lead to more aggressive and hostile out-of-game behaviors, as players use violence as a way of solving problems since it was so rewarded in the game. GTA 5, through the lens of violence and psychology, showcases how violence is often more engaging and rewarding. Therefore, it has a psychological effect on players, as it is constant and reinforced exposure to violence, in combination with the realism of both the violence itself and the people committing the crimes.